Now look at this one, future. I will know the truth, and it makes sense in English. How do I say while I'm praying, I will know the truth? So as you're praying, the truth will dawn on you. There's a point where it's simultaneous time. So I will know the truth while I'm praying. And then the imperfect, I was knowing the truth. And since this is past time, while I was praying. If I were to say I was knowing the truth while I'm praying, that doesn't make sense. The time doesn't match because of what the conjunction while means. It has to be the same time. So I was knowing. So the verb here is eginoskan. Eginoskan. I was knowing the truth. Prosuhamenos, while I was praying. Here's the aorist form, eginon. I knew the truth while I was praying. This is still continuous because prosuhamenos is a present participle. It's continuous. It's a middle form. Remember, this is a deponent. So if I parse this is the present middle participle, and this os and menos tells me that it is a nominative singular masculine form. So nominative singular masculine present middle participle. While I was praying, I knew the truth. And here's the perfect. I have known the truth while I have been praying. It sounds a little bit awkward in English, but we'll just go with it. We're trying to match the time of the main verb with the time of the participle. So let me clear the board. So please stare at this a little bit. Stare at it. And I think the only way to get used to how to translate the participle is homework. Now let me give you a warning. The answer key gives you some training wheels. It often translates the participle simply as praying. It won't ask you to translate it as while I'm praying. So in this case, do not follow the answer key. I think the training wheels approach is really bad. Students get used to translating the participle as simply praying or jumping and running, and it gets the translator in trouble every single time when the sentences become more complex. When you look at Ephesians chapter 1, for example, from verse 1 all the way through, I think it's verse 8, that's one long sentence, and it's all connected by participles. And if you're just used to translating things as praying, jumping, running, laughing, flying, just as generic ing translation, you will never be able to translate this verse. It doesn't lend itself to being the participles translated in a very simple way like ing. You're going to have to get used to doing this now, right at the beginning. That whenever you see a participle, you're going to translate this as a clause. For the present participle, you're going to use while as your conjunction. And then you're going to learn later for the aorist participle, you're going to use the conjunction after I prayed. But here, we're using the present tense, not the aorist. And the present tense is simultaneous time, so it's while. Lastly, just a friendly reminder of your big 5 and little 2 rules. Your big 5 and little 2 rules. With contract verbs, agapao, poieo, and plerao, you're going to have contractions because when in the present active participle form, instead of lu, you're going to still have this aunt, and then you're going to have, say, let's use the genitive form, the genitive, luantas. Notice that the connecting vowel is omicron. So if you don't use lu and use agapa, you're going to have to remember what happens when an alpha touches an omicron. And if you use poi for the stem, for the epsilon contracts, what happens when the epsilon comes in contact with the omicron? And if you use play raw, what happens when the omicron of play raw hits the connecting vowel of the participle tense formative? And the nice thing is that the connecting vowel is always omicron. So notice that you only need to remember that if the stem for agapa is alpha, then when you add ontos to it, remember your big 5 little 2 rules. Alpha plus omicron equals that omega. So the form will be agapontos. What happens when an epsilon comes in contact with ontos? It becomes poi-utos. Epsilon plus omicron is u. And omicron plus omicron, the connecting vowel, is also u. And so you see play-rutos. So you don't have to learn a bunch of vowel contractions. You only have to learn one for each of the alpha contract verbs, for the epsilon contract verbs, and for the omicron contract verbs. It's going to, for the contractions in the present active participle, alpha becomes omega, epsilon plus the omicron combine to form the epsilon plus omicron combined to form u, and the omicron plus omicron combined to form u, and again the alpha plus omicron here combined to form omega, and you'll see that all the way through. So if I only put the nominative and genitive forms here. I only put the nominative and genitive forms, but you would read this as agapo, agapontos, and if I were to go through the whole paradigm, it'd be agaponti, agaponta, agapontes, agaponton, agapose, or sin, and agapontos. So you can go through the whole paradigm, and that the contractions can remain the same. The only thing you have to worry about is for the alpha nominative singular neuter form. Distinguish it from agapon. It keeps its alpha. The alpha goes from short to long. That's why there's a circumflex over it. And agapon is the nominative singular neuter form for agapao. But everything else for the contract verbs is predictable once you know the big 5 and little 2 rules. The participles are the hardest grammar section for all of beginning Greek. You have to get through this module, the next couple of modules as we go over the aorist and perfect participles, and once you go through there, the rest of the material will be easier than the participles. So hang in there, use this time to study, and we'll work out the translations in your small groups, and I will be available for office hours as well.